Hi YouTube. So I finally decided to start a YouTube account thanks to a fellow competitor that I met at my last show this year, Hannah. I will put her handle at the bottom of this video. So thank you for finally giving me the courage to do this. At first I didn't really know if people would follow me or subscribe because I don't have a huge following. I'm just starting off, but I also know that when I was in prep for my first show, I really liked watching girls who were going through their first prep or who weren't, competing at pro shows, and it was really motivational to watch them during cardio. So I thought, well, you know what, I get a lot of girls asking me questions all the time on Instagram, and this is just another outlet for me to reach more girls. And I know that a lot of people kind of poke fun or make fun of girls who compete in their first shows, and all of a sudden there are these diet and nutrition experts and exercise experts. I'm not certified. I don't claim to be. I'm not an expert. I can just let you know what worked for me and tips and tricks that help me stay on track and things that have gotten me to where I am today. But one of the questions I get a lot is what's your backstory? How did you get into fitness and what got you to where you are today? And I feel like with most people, their story started a long time ago. It started for me in elementary school. That's when I first started getting very body conscious. I had stretch marks all up and down my legs, even in elementary school. I always felt like I was bigger than most of the girls that I went to school with, and I was really self-conscious of that. I didn't wear shorts higher above my knees. I wore really long shorts. I was really active, and so I was really sporty, and kind of covered that up. Starting in middle school, I stopped eating breakfast. I stopped eating lunch, or I ate very little of my lunch. I'd come home and kind of push dinner around, like push food around my plate. My, mom and dad would always comment on it, but I just tried to stop eating. It didn't really work. And then in high school, I just kind of stopped caring what I was eating. I didn't try to eat any sort of vegetables. I ate fast food. I ate the Wendy's chicken sandwich all the time. That was my favorite. It was my go-to. I was very active. I played softball starting when I was 12, and I was on the travel teams, and I was on my high school team for 4 years. So I always stayed very active, and that probably helped because I just didn't care at all what I put into my body. And I drank tons of soda. I just can't believe how much soda I used to drink. Sorry, I have all my notes here. When I first got to college, I was probably around 125 pounds. I'm 5'4", and that was kind of my heaviest weight. I put on a little bit of weight. I was eating just kind of whatever, wasn't watching anything, and when I started dating my current boyfriend, we freshman year, but we started dating freshman year. He was really into working out, watching what he ate, and so I started to be a little more conscious. I made little tiny switches, like switching from white pasta to half white pasta and half whole wheat. And instead of having Alfredo sauce, I would do half Alfredo, half marinara. Eventually, I was able to switch to marinara and whole wheat. I started incorporating more veggies into my diet. I didn't really like them at first, but I tried because I knew I needed to eat a little healthier. I started lifting a little more. I used to lift back in high school for conditioning, but I didn't stick with any program for a very long time. And then my sophomore year, I started running. And if anyone knows me, you know that I hated running in softball. I hated running. I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't something I looked forward to. But I started running. I started getting up early before class, and I would go run on the track, come home and eat a little bit of a breakfast, maybe whole grain cereal, yogurt, and then I'd go to class, sit through class, and then for lunch I'd grab like a smoothie, and I would have that as my lunch. And for dinner I'd have these big salads, and I just was severely restricting and under eating. And of course I saw results. I was running and I was under eating. I dropped down to probably my lowest, around 113. But I stopped going out, just wasn't having a ton of fun. And eventually I joined a sorority, and that changed. I started going out a lot more. I was still trying to eat healthy, but just not anything like I was before. And I would just go through these cycles, and I'd go home for the summer and be more active. Come junior year, I got a subscription to a magazine. It's still one of my favorite magazines, but at the time, all they preached was clean eating. So I had this ingrained into my head that I could only eat clean, unprocessed foods, and that started my obsession with good and bad foods. And I had foods that were off limits, foods that I couldn't eat because they were bad. They would kill my body. They had all these chemicals in it, and that's just what I thought. I found myself looking down at people who were eating, not even bad food, but just eating things that I had deemed unclean. And like if someone was eating a brownie, I just was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're eating that. Or I remember, I know my family got super annoyed with me because we would come home and I would preach to them about how they need to eat clean, whole foods, and they would make comments here and there like, oh, you probably won't eat this, but you can have this. And I started this cycle of eating really clean, eating really healthy meals. And then when I got the opportunity to, like if I went out with some friends with my softball team, or if I went out with my sorority sisters to a restaurant, and we loved Mexican, so we'd always go to Mexican restaurants, and seeing that basket of chips in front of you at the table, and they keep refilling it, and I just felt like, well, I have the opportunity to, so I'm just going to eat. And I would eat and eat to the point where I was full but kept eating because I didn't eat like that normally. And I would come home and feel absolutely terrible about how much I had eaten, and I'd feel super guilty because I had just eaten all this processed food, and I would purge. And it wasn't something that I think that I could go to that I can go and get a diagnosis for. I don't think it was ever that severe, but it's something that I did maybe 10 times throughout the course of junior and senior year in college. And then my senior year, I remember I had this spring break trip coming up, and I wanted to get super toned and super lean for it. And I started again this cycle of restricting my food, going to the gym twice a day. I would do fasted HIIT cardio in the morning and come home and have like a protein shake or rice cakes with protein and peanut butter. And then I would go and get a lunch, and I would try to, eat salads, and I just wasn't eating enough. And then I would go back to the gym later that night for round 2 and would lift weights. I wasn't lifting anything super heavy, but I just was losing a lot of weight, and I got down to about 110, and I was then diagnosed with amenorrhea, so TMI for any guys who are watching. I don't think there would be, but any guys who are watching, sorry, but I lost my period. I was still, at this point, I think I was kind of, what they would consider, or what people would consider skinny fat. I didn't really have a ton of muscle, but I had lost a lot of weight. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago, when I had graduated from college and I created an Instagram account. And I feel like nowadays people think that Instagram and social media is really stupid, but in a sense it kind of saved my relationship with food and helped me create a more positive body image. So I started an Instagram account and was following all my fitness inspirations, and eventually, I don't think it was anyone in particular, but I just started seeing, IIFYM, and people were posting these delicious things that I had always wanted to eat and just didn't unless I, had that moment of opportunity when binge. I, started researching a little bit, and at first I was super skeptical. I think like anyone else, I'm like, what do you mean you can eat ice cream and cookies and Pop-Tarts and lose weight? Like, that's insane. Like, all those chemicals and all those bad foods, and your body knows that, that's unclean fat and that's unclean carbs. But I started doing some more research because I was like, well, I really want to eat cookies. I really want to eat ice cream. And so again, started doing more research, looked at if it fits your macros calculators. So I went online and did calculators, and I did a rough, very, very rough estimate of what I thought my macro split would be. And it took me a little while to get the hang of it, and I eventually got a food scale to be more accurate and to track, because I think it's really hard measuring in, half a cup or, one banana, because, one banana can be 80 grams or it could be 130 grams. So it took me a little while to understand how to be more accurate in weighing your food, cooked versus raw, so things of that nature. And I also was logging my exercise, and that would add in more calories, and I was probably overeating at first. But I can still remember the first time I was like, okay, I'm going to try if it fits your macros. And I remember that night I sat down in this chair, and I think I had a Skinny Cow ice cream. And I was remembering, I was like, this is so good, but at the same time I felt so guilty, and I was like, I can't believe I'm sitting here and I'm eating ice cream, and I don't have to overeat. I don't have to, well, I'm never going to get this chance to eat this again, so let me eat 5. It was just, I had an ice cream, and I remember it was just such an incredible feeling. It's something so simple for me now. I'm like, oh, I'll just fit it in, it's the end of my night, whatever. But that moment, being able to have a treat and knowing that was included in your diet was just it was just undescribable. And eventually I got the hang of it, and understanding that I need to eat to hit my micronutrient goals, and not just your macros, but you're still eating, 80 to 90% of nutrient-dense foods. I don't like to say healthy foods versus unhealthy, just some foods are more nutrient-dense than others. So I eventually got the hang of it. It took a lot of trial and error, a lot of research, but eventually I got it and played around with my macros. And one of my favorite inspirations, I still love her and I'm obsessed with her now, is Amanda Bucci Fit. And she was one of the people that kind of inspired me to start my own Fitstagram account. And so this is where Christi Lynn Fit came to be. So thank you for that. And part of my reason for starting that Instagram account and starting this YouTube channel is hopefully I can inspire someone to find a healthier relationship with food, because that is made me feel so much better about myself. And yes, I have good days and I have bad days, but overall I feel more free with my choices. I don't feel restricted. I don't I can't even remember the last time, in college was the last time it ever purged. I just don't need to do that. I've learned so much more about my body, and I've learned what I'm capable of, learned more about myself and who I am. And so I really want to use this as a way to inspire other people to make changes and to be the best versions of themselves. So this is kind of over the top, but Amanda, thank you so much for that. And I hope that one day I can inspire some of you guys to make the same changes. So right now I am about 7 weeks post-competition. So I will probably post some more videos about my my journey to my first fitness competition, and let you guys know how that is going. But I just wanted to give you guys some backstory and let you guys know a little bit more about me. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to hear more, click and subscribe. And you can let me know of any topics, anything you want me to cover. I'm very new to this, so hopefully I can get up some more videos and some good content. But for now, thank you so much for watching if you watched this whole thing.